I've been lying, stealing from family for years and I'm stuck. Throwaway account for obvious reasons lol. I first started stealing my grandparents' credit card for Nintendo games when I was young, couldn't live with mother and father, grandparents had custody. I think over the time period of a year or two I had stolen about $500. I never had as much as other kids around me and I always felt below everyone, so I wanted to have anything I could to keep up. I used to ask for money all the time. I could never learn how to make any. They kept me in the house religiously. I was a bad kid who was smart as hell but wouldn't do work if I was paid to. I also had a large amount of mental problems that I had acquired from the traumatic past with my parents and I didn't know how to handle it. I used to act out in class constantly. I had heavy ADHD. They prescribed me stimulants that had me like a zombie. I hated them. I never took them. They put me in a residential program instead of working with me themselves. I always felt like my grandparents' parents didn't really care about me at all and just wanted the problem me out their faces. Evidently at this point in time that wasn't the case. Skip ahead a few years. I start smoking weed. At first it was just little carts with my friends in the neighborhood. At this point in time I wasn't stealing anything except some alcohol here and there. However, the more I smoked the more I wanted it. I went into a haze. Next thing I know I sold my grandma's gold ring for some weed. After this happened, I got into a physical altercation with my grandfather and got put into a mental institution. And even though this was definitely an understandable choice in hindsight, in the moment I was completely blindsided, betrayed and hurt. I used to call them on the phone and they used to laugh at me and basically tell me thug it out. Some may call this tough love, but when I got discharged I definitely left with a chip on my shoulder. After that I was fine for a while of course, but you know that didn't last forever. Next thing I know I stumble upon my grandfather's bedridden brother's bank account. Not gonna go into detail with what I did, but I was able to take money out and withdraw it at the ATMs. I told myself at first I wasn't gonna overdo it and at first I was able to do that, but then the money got to my head and I went fucking crazy. I stole upwards of $15,000 and spent it all on designer clothes, shoes, and weed. For a while it was like that. Then the senior living company that was taking care of him checks bounced when they tried to take the money they worked for out. And they saw what I had done. Fortunately I was able to cover my tracks and I never got caught or charged or anything. But my family knew. After that I was broke as shit, 17, heavily addicted to weed. My best option at this point was probably to stop smoking, but you know I wasn't gonna do that. I started stealing jewelry, probably more than $5,000. They still don't know about the extents of that though. I just wanted to keep my high going. On the inside doing all this stealing was ripping my heart up. I felt absolutely horrible. But for some reason my desire to escape overcame that. My grandfather also died around this time. It was very hard on me. I was grieving for weeks. How can I feel so bad for someone I hurt so much? I asked myself. I knew him my whole life. He took me in out the kindness of his heart and I stabbed him in the back. I felt and still feel absolutely horrible. I started getting high more and more. I had dabbled with harder drugs but I knew in my heart that weed was what I wanted. So that's what I got. I smoked about 2 to 5 backwoods a day for years. Should I still smoke every day? I plan to stop very soon. However. Now you would think, hey, hopefully this kid learned his lesson and he won't try to do it again. No. I started stealing out their other bank accounts, started finessing my grandmother's credit companies. Made her credit score go down 200 points. Took upwards of 4 to 6K in this phase. After all this, I've stopped stealing from them. As I said, I plan to stop smoking very soon and find a job, although every fucking job I apply for doesn't say shit back. I don't want their forgiveness because I know I won't get it. That fact tears me up inside, but it's something I had to accept. I've literally watched my grandmother go from loving and adoring me to resenting and being disgusted with me. And as I said, I know I'll probably never have that back. I get my grandmother food and I help her out whenever I can. Even though it doesn't mean shit at this point. But the thing is I can barely help her. I need to get myself on track.